Hi, Stitchers. Welcome to Tatreez Talk, where we share conversations about Palestinian embroidery. I'm Amani, here with my co-host Lena, chatting with talented embroiderers and artists, sharing their stories, inspirations, and the cultural significance behind their work.
On today's episode, we're actually chatting with you. We're always getting questions in our DMs, so we decided to do a special mailbag episode to actually answer some of your questions. So, Amani, are you ready for these questions?
I hope so. Excuse my babbling in advance because you know me, I'm going to go on like little side rants probably.
And they're all Tatreez related, so nothing personal. We don't have to worry about anything awkward
I don't care about
happening.
that, girl. That's my problem. I just don't know how to keep my mouth shut.
Okay. Let's get started. So the first question that we've gotten is, how do you stay motivated and positive during this genocide?
Ooh, okay. We came off the bat,
Yes.
out of the gate with a very intense question. Honestly, for me, if I'm being completely honest, it's hard to stay motivated. It's hard to stay positive. We were recently, Lena and I were recently in Dubai and Amman together, and we met with a bunch of Tatreez friends that we had not met previously. And I feel like reflecting on that, I think those are the moments that do help me stay positive and motivate me, just like kind of being and we were literally just talking about this on WhatsApp with our other friend Lena, who we met in Dubai. But finding those moments that you could just be Palestinian without the death and like horror, for lack of a better word. Just like finding those moments to just be has been really, really nice. And, as I always say, it comes down to community because that's where you can, or at least I feel like I can be, just be, is being around other Palestinians, people you don't have to explain anything to. And you can just talk about Tatreez, and you can just talk about culture and art and joy. So that's my non-answer answer. I don't know if that's a full answer, but that's kind of that's my response. What about you, Nina?
No, I feel that. I feel that so deeply. And I know that a few people actually, because this podcast has been like ongoing during the genocide, the entirety of the podcast has been while we're witnessing this genocide in Gaza in particular. A lot of people have said on like during some of the interviews is like, oh, it feels frivolous to be talking about Tatreez, or it feels kind of stupid to be like thinking about the next Tatreez project or showcasing your Tatreez work on Instagram when you could potentially be taking away time and energy from doing what's necessary that we can do to stop the genocide. But then we always have like alternative conversations as well, where it's thinking about things like, Tatreez is part of preserving Palestinian experience, Palestinian culture, art, history. Yes. It's part of us continuing to say, hey, Palestinians exist, you're not getting rid of us, and I want to see you try. Actually, I don't really want to see you try, but like you can't do that because we have already, it's actually interesting. The other day I was reflecting and someone had actually asked me for like another interview about what does Tatreez mean to me and why is it important during quote unquote times of conflict. This is not a conflict, but anyways, that was their question. And I was thinking about it and I was like, honestly, it's literally the way that I can fight an occupation and I can fight an illegal settlement. I can fight something because by me being online, by me engaging with other Palestinians in the diaspora and helping to bring more Palestinians into the art form, that is quite literally proof of Palestinian existence. And it's the passing of this art form to other people. And it can be our mechanism of fighting that narrative that the Palestinian people don't deserve to be around or that they should be a thing of the past, and absolutely not. We're preserving that. We're continuing that. That energy. And so for me, like I remember those types of conversations and those types of thoughts that I've shared with other people, and I think that helps me stay positive and motivated. And I think also the most important thing from me and from my perspective is because I am privileged to be in the diaspora, I don't need to worry about physical survival. it is my duty to be the one to stay motivated and stay positive. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and it doesn't mean that you turn off, witnessing what's happening, but we have to stay strong, because that is what we can do. That is the minimum that we can do, being on the outsides. And I think Tatreez is just such a helpful way of doing that. And we've talked about this on previous episodes and in different conversations that we've had with other people. But like, I'll never forget the Tatreez retreat, which we held in the end of October. And that was the first time all of us like breathed for the first time in a few weeks, because that was the beginning of the genocide. And one of the things that helped us breathe, besides being together, was that physical, like actual movement of our fingers while we're stitching together. And that really, really helped us stay, have a little bit of joy in that moment. So yeah, I don't know. Those are kind of my rambling thoughts as well.
Yeah. No, I like what you were saying too about like, as you were talking, I was thinking like Tatreez, when I practice Tatreez, there is one part of it that is what you were just referencing, that physical, motion of, kind of just connecting and in a way disconnecting as well, connecting with the act of stitching and the in and out motion, or if you do, the sewing method still, and like the connecting to your breathing. And then on the other end, it is something that, as we say often, it is an art form that is very much rooted in Palestinian history and tradition. And as we are continuously trying to be, or I should say, as the Zionist project continuously tries to erase us and our identity, even especially being in the diaspora, like being able to preserve Tatreez is very powerful and important. But also, I will say this too. I also stay motivated and positive through seeing a lot of the amazing like Palestinians that I know who are just doing the work in so many different avenues, whether it's art, whether it's journalism, whether it is education. Like, there's so many different levers to be pulled. And I am very fortunate to either personally know or just socially know some very amazing people who give me hope when I'm being like a complete Debbie Downer.
Yeah, and all of those levers need to be pulled. That's the only way this entire enterprise collapses, right? And so I think tuning into what other people are doing, even if it's not in your like lane, can be incredibly motivating, and help you like think about, okay, well, I'm not in that lane, and that's fine. I don't need to be in that specific place, but in my place, there's so much that I can do, and I think helping each other find those ways of doing things that are going to support the end of not just the genocide, but the occupation, the illegal occupation of Palestinians is huge. I think there's so much value in that. And that's, I guess you mentioned earlier, is like so rooted in community, so rooted in connecting with each other. Yeah, I mean, this question could be its own episode, I feel. It's a lot.
Cool. So the next question we got was how non-Palestinians can practice Tatreez and design their own patterns without cultural appropriation. So I know there's a lot of conversation around that, and everyone has, I don't want to say very different, but everyone has their own opinion. What are your thoughts on this, Nina?
Yeah, and I get this question a lot. Even people who download my designs from my online shop, they ask me like, "Oh, is it okay if I change the colors? Like, I don't want to be disrespectful." And I think, so you have to separate out your own creativity and your own approach to art from the inspiration and the, I guess, the foundational art form itself. And I think the most important thing to avoid cultural appropriation is to just give credit where it's due. It's literally just saying, oh, I'm practicing Tatreez. Just by you saying that, you're giving, Palestinians their rightful ownership and creation of this art form. And I think that in of itself it can help you avoid cultural appropriation. But I think that doesn't mean you need to stay so strict because you're afraid to like impact or be associated with cultural appropriation. I think I think part of the beauty of just any art form in general, regardless of where it's originated from, is you being able to add your own spin to it. I would love to see like different color palettes being used in my designs, or, you know, a different curation of motifs that create their own unique design. Like that's part of why the art form is so incredible, is because there's so many different ways to use it and create something new while still being rooted in traditional Tatreez. But the key is giving the credit where it's due, and you identify this as being Tatreez, and then you also identify yourself as being an ally of Palestinians, and you speak on their behalf when you have the opportunity to do so, and to say, hey, like, this is absolutely a crime, this is absolutely horrendous, like this is unacceptable and it should not be done. Like, you need to be saying those types of things, especially during these particular times. But that's my personal take. I don't know, Amani, if you have anything else to add.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely have opinions. I have a lot of opinions. So first, I will say that whether you're Palestinian or not, if you are not wholeheartedly in support of Palestinian liberation, please go away. I do not want you practicing my art or participating in my culture, and that includes Palestinians who, you know, these normalizers. So that I will say off the bat. About how non-Palestinians can practice and design their own patterns without cultural appropriation. So we, and when I say we, I mean like my local like Bay Area community, as well as like me personally when I do like workshops, like we have a lot of non-Palestinians in our Tatreez community. Love y'all. Y'all are great. Y'all know, you know the drill. They come to classes to learn from Palestinians. They come to learn about history. They ask about history because they care about it. They then take Tatreez and practice it while acknowledging it as Palestinian art. They participate in the Palestinian community, and they wholeheartedly stand for Palestinian liberation. So y'all are doing it right. You keep doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing, sweetie. Now I will say where I personally start feeling a type of way is when non-Palestinians are profiting off of Tatreez. That is a issue, and that has become a bigger issue since October. There are a lot of new businesses popping up, or artists who are being inspired by Tatreez. I should say non-Palestinian artists who are being inspired by Tatreez. Art, you know, there's these muddy lines between art. You know, if you paint a painting and it's inspired by Tatreez and you're not Palestinian, am I going to hold that against you? No. If you're sitting here saying that your inspiration was Palestinian Tatreez and all that. But if you're like not Palestinian and you are hosting Tatreez workshops and selling Tatreez designs, or you have, and this is not a specific example to anyone because I'm literally pulling these out of my head, but like if you have a clothing line and now all of a sudden you're incorporating Tatreez, or you know, I know some dope Palestinian ceramic artists who incorporate Tatreez into their work. Beautiful. But since October, there's been some non-Palestinian ceramic artists who are now doing that kind of, you know, like things like that. Yeah, no, that's cultural appropriation in my eyes. Someone else might have a different opinion, and that's fine. That's ben Allah. That's not my really, like, you know, that's on you. But yeah, I'm going to look at you sideways. I think the people who are asking the questions, like whoever, and I think multiple people asked this question to both of our accounts as well as the Tatreez Talk account. The people who are asking this question, you don't need to worry. Like you're clearly, your heart is in the right place, and you're clearly not, you have no intention of culturally appropriating Palestinian Tatreez. We love you. You're welcome. Come stitch with us. We will teach you what we can. And yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
No, that's a really good point. I think the profiting piece is a really critical component that we need to be very aware of and be really mindful as we, like, if we see that happening, because especially during this time, like this isn't meant to be your new business. This is not meant to be an opportunity to take advantage of everyone's eyes on Palestine. Like, that's not how this works.
And even for Palestinians too.
And even for Palestinians. I agree. I agree. 100%.
You know, I don't know if this has happened to you, but I know it's happened to me and a few other folks in the Tatreez world where like our original designs have been stolen by these like new quote unquote, you know, .com, Palestinian.com businesses. So yeah, all shadiness around, but that could be its own episode, honestly. Let's move on. Let's move on.
All of these. Okay. Question number 3 is how to set yourself up for success with Tatreez and how to create rituals.
Ooh, okay, this is a good one. I feel like everyone has their own thing, and I'm sure yours is going to be different than mine, and the next person's as well. For me personally, for me to set myself up for success with Tatreez, I'm a big planner. God bless all of you who can just freestyle your stitching. I love you. I envy you, but like, mashallah, I'm not giving you evil eye, but like, that's not me. I need to plan out everything. I need to plan out my designs very meticulously, my colors. Like, I play around with things. I need a lot of planning before I can jump in. Every time I'm laughing because I'm thinking about all the times that I've tried to jump in and just like freestyle it. And no, she does not work for my brain. It just doesn't work. So to set myself up for success, I definitely plan. You know, I'll design in advance, pick my colors. Like, I have my whole plan set up. And then when I'm actually stitching, ooh, that's a good, like, I feel like, I don't know if I could call it like an actual ritual, but if I'm like at home stitching, which is like where I'm stitching most of the time, and honestly, it's like where I'm most comfortable stitching. Like, yeah, I go, like, I know people can like are out and about stitching while they're like on the train and this and that. Like, that's not as comfortable for me. Like, I feel like I need to have, so maybe it is my ritual. Like, I need to have like my setup, you know, I need to be comfortable, most likely laying, you know, and like having all my things, my colors. Like, I have like a little thing for my needles and my colors and my scissors and like all my stuff. And I have my iPad with my pattern uploaded into my app and like tracking all my stuff. Like, and then there's usually something like really frivolous on TV in the background because that's how I work best.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, my routine.
That's 100% a routine. I'm the same like you. I definitely like planning. I typically design before so I don't necessarily wait till my designs are complete because I don't have that kind of patience. It's so funny. I have the patience to complete my projects, but I do not have the patience to not be stitching. So if I'm not working on something, I get really, really anxious. But I can't freehand. I'm trying to think if I've ever freehand. The only time I've done a quote unquote freehand, it's not even 100% freehand because there was some sort of boundary. So the project I'm thinking of, I did this Palestine map, and it was one of my, I guess, first projects, and it was my way of learning more about the motifs and which villages they originated from. So that one I freehand, I'm using air quotes. Yeah. But like, I did not freehand the border of the map. That was like, so I had a container. But then I would just kind of pick, I didn't design it ahead of time. I just pick like random motifs from different villages and try to place them on the map. And so there was still some sort of like strategy, you know, towards the design. But so I typically will do planning in that way, but I don't necessarily need to wait for the whole thing to come to life before I begin the stitching. And what is nice about that, not to like crap on your approach.
No, my brain's exploding right now, so I can't even hear what you're saying.
But what I will say, what I do like about this approach, if like it's a really big design and I get started before I finish it, sometimes I learn before it's too late of different like measurement mistakes. So quite literally my ebbe, for example, my first ebbe, I miscalculated the amount of stitches that I had available on the space of the fabric. And so when I started stitching it before I finished the design, I realized very quickly, oh my God, I thought I had more space than I have. And so I didn't have to necessarily go redo the design because I hadn't finished it. But I just adjusted the space that I was using for the design app that I was using. And that way I was able to like avoid creating this huge, amazing, intricate design and then realizing it doesn't actually fit. The other thing I noticed when I do this as well is I get inspired along the way. So I will be stitching along and like working on the design, and my design process, like I have to be inspired, and I don't know necessarily what will inspire me. I do need to kind of force myself to get started. But once I get started, sometimes there's like one part of the design that I'm not 100% sure what I want to do with it. And so I kind of let it sit there and I ruminate on what I want to do. And because I've started stitching, I get ideas as I go along, and I get inspired because I know the space that I'm working with because I've started. So I will say that my designs kind of evolve because I've started stitching, and that way they can kind of, I don't know, hit what I was looking for, like that feeling that I want when I get the design in the right place. So for me, like that's kind of my approach in terms of setting myself up for success with Tatreez. Like I just kind of get started when I can. But I definitely do like to have a calculated design before I get too far into it. But like I mentioned, I get anxious if I'm not stitching. So there's that. And in terms of rituals for me, yeah, I'm like you. I have friends who will take, like, maybe not necessarily Tatreez, but they'll take like, their knitting on the subway. I cannot be that person. Like I need at least an hour. Like I'll do it on the train if I'm going from New York to DC, for example, because that's like a 3.5-hour trip. Like that I'll do. But if it's the subway, it's like a 20 to like 45-minute commute or something. Forget it. Like I'm not gonna bother. Also, the subway is nasty in New York, so
gross.
I'm not taking my Tatreez.
Disgusting.
So bad. So yeah, that won't happen. But I do like to travel with my Tatreez. I always take it with me when I travel for extended periods of time. So if I'm going to visit my family or I'm traveling overseas or something, it's always with me because I need to have it for potentially long durations of time when I have nothing to do, especially if there's like a delay or something. Like, oh my God, there are times when I'll be in the airport and there's a delay because, these airports are ridiculous these days, these airlines. And I'll be so mad at myself if I don't have my Tatreez. Because like if it's delayed 2 hours, I'm like, oh my God, that's 2 hours I could have had doing Tatreez. And I get so mad. But yeah, I'm like you though otherwise. Like at home, I like to be comfortable in my sweats on the couch. I like to be watching something. Lighting is really important, although I'm pretty flexible, I guess, on the lighting. I'm not super particular, but I do need to have some sort of like appropriate lighting.
No, I need good lighting. Girl, I have my little magnifying glasses, which, oh my God, they came out with a new model that's so much lighter.
You need to send me the link. You told me you were going to send me the link. Yeah.
I will. Okay, I'll send it to you.
We'll put it in the show notes too.
Yeah. I rock those. I rock those really dorky magnifying glasses with the little like light thing on the forehead.
Yes.
Yeah, girl, I look hot. Woo. Ladies, tell your single brothers. Okay.
No shame. I love it.
All right. Okay. Next question. What are other crafts or arts that you do outside of Tatreez?
That is such a good question because I feel like because Tatreez has also become my business, things have changed. So I am kind of on the lookout for different ways to, have a creative outlet of sorts. But honestly, Tatreez is always the best thing that's out there. So I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like I'll do like classes every once in a while, in terms of crafts/art, but nothing that's really sticking. I will say my mom is a very big, just in the general like needlework space. She likes Tatreez, but she also likes knitting. She likes crochet. And she got me into this new Japanese type of crochet. I don't know.
Oh, yes. It starts with an S, right? I'm not going to pronounce it because I'll mess it up.
I won't pronounce it well either, so I'll just put it in the show notes.
I know what you're talking about, though. It's sick.
It's so cute, though, because like the main thing that they typically make are like these dolls through and it's using one needle. So it's a type of crochet. It's a form of crochet. So you're using one needle and like a yarn of thread or a yarn of thread. No. See, this is when I miss
a thread of yarn. I don't know.
Yarn, a ball of yarn. Excuse me, a ball of yarn.
Damn,
my
oh my
words.
God, so embarrassing. Wow, sorry guys.
This is why I don't do knitting. I forget. People are always like, "Oh yeah, you have to use yarn, don't you?" And I'm like, "No, we use thread." And now I'm that person who doesn't know what thread is. But anyways, or yarn. Good. Oh my God. Okay. Anyways, she got me into this type of crochet, and I got my yarn and everything, and it's really cute because you can make these really just precious little dolls, and they also have different animals as well. So I'm in the process of making a little cat, and it's so precious. But I only do it when I'm with my mom because I'm too chicken to like try it on my own. But it is like Tatreez in the sense that it's like super forgiving. If you mess up, you just try again. Like it's no big deal. But it's really cute because it's an actual thing that is like you know, you can like put it on your desk or on a shelf or something, and it just looks at you. It's so cute.
That's cute for you.
Okay, fine. If you don't like my nice crochet cat, what are the arts and crafts that you're into?
Dead. Okay, so if I had a trust fund, I would just be a starving artist. Oh my God. Okay, so I feel like Tatreez it's usually like, it's my default. But I do stain glass, not as much as I used to.
Okay.
I feel like I used to do it a lot more. But yeah, I do stained glass. I have like a little stained glass setup in my garage. But again, like I haven't done it in so long. It's just, it's one of those things, like I feel like for me, I love to try, like I do a bunch of classes. I love to try different stuff. But if it doesn't click, like if I'm not good at it, and I know obviously like with practice you get better, but like I'm not patient. If it doesn't like click, I'm just kind of like, eh. And I feel like I'm okay with stained glass. Like I'm not great with it. So it's not something that I just like pick up and go to. I did take some weaving classes, which was really fun. And
that's on my list.
I really liked that. And I actually want to like dive deeper into it. I just don't know, like I'm not in that world, and so I just don't know how to. And again, it's one of those things where like Tatreez just becomes the default because it's just so easy for me. But like those are kind of like the two, I feel like those are like the two biggest ones. Like other than that, I've tried a bunch of different things. Like I suck at painting.
Yeah, me too.
Like I can just like paint like blobs, but like I do enjoy it. It's fun, but like I suck at it. Like I'm not painting you anything that like looks like anything. So that's gonna be a little bit of a hot mess. But yeah, it's fun. It's abstract art. I really wanted to get good at photography, guys. Like I really wanted to for so many years, and I just am not. It's not my thing. I'm not good at it, but I love photography. Actually, I'm working on a project right now with one of my friends. Shout out to Jess, my Lebanese sister. She has gotten into photography, like over the last like year, 2 years or so. She's gotten into photography, and so we're doing a project together centered around Palestinian joy, where she is taking some portraits of folks. And I'm going to be stitching on them. So
I love that. Yeah, those projects you've been doing with the Tatreez on photos are so gorgeous.
I'm so obsessed.
Yeah,
like this is like my new obsession. This is like my new thing.
Yes.
I just framed like 3 of them. I didn't take them to like my fancy framer because I'm just testing them out. And they're small enough that I can get a standard frame. But like I'm kind of obsessed. Like I keep turning my head because I'm like looking at them. But like I'm kind of obsessed. And it's a way to like combine, like for example, like I said, like I always wanted to learn photography. I really admire photography, but I suck at it. And so it's kind of this way to combine my love of photography with my passion for Tatreez. But I really, really want to do more collaborative projects like this, where like working with other artists in different mediums and like figuring out how to incorporate Tatreez. I don't know like where that really leads me, but holler at me. My own self plug.
No, why not? Why not? Actually, because you were talking about this, I did remember another arts craft thing that I have turned into. But it's not something that I do like all the time. I kind of just mess with it. But I've gotten into scrapbooking. And
that's cute.
Yeah, and not like in like not in the, I guess what I think is traditional, which I don't know if it is, but like I don't use like photos of my life or anything, and I I don't do that. It's more like just just like a collage of random things. So I have like, there was one day where I was getting super frustrated. I was just like so mad at the situation in Palestine. And so I made like this whole page on and it's like stickers of, you know, people doing depke.
It's kind of like a diary. It's like a scrapbook diary in a way.
Kind of, exactly. And
that's really cool.
So the reason I got into it is because I don't know how I got hooked on like these. My relationship with TikTok is like very, I don't know. I'm not like that into TikTok, but there was a time when I got hooked on these TikTok videos that were specifically, it was like the live scrapbooking, and it's like that ASMR, you know, the sounds of like pages ripping and like stickers sticking. And oh my God, that used to make me so happy. And so I started doing it myself. But the problem with scrapbooking, one, you don't need that many things, but at the same time, you accumulate all this like crap and you never know if you're going to use it. So I do it sparingly. Like I'll just like, for example, we were just at Watan when we were in Amman. I like stocked up on like a ton of stickers and stuff. So I have those now that are like Palestine themed and stuff. But I don't do it religiously, but I do find joy in putting together these little collages of things with different types of paper and different types of themes. So that is something, but it's like once a month I'll get hit with it. And I just really want to do that during that time. So that's been my other arts and craft thing that I've been doing as well.
Yeah. I love that. You know, you gotta try different things. Like, I actually like the way you're doing the scrapbooking, though. Like, it doesn't feel...
Yeah.
It feels a little bit more impactful, more meaningful. Like, I don't know. I like it. I'm into it.
Yeah. And it's just like when I'm in the mood. It doesn't have to be like this. Like, Tatreez, I have to do it every single day. But scrapbooking, I just do it whenever I feel like it. Kind of thing. Okay, I want to ask the next question because it's obviously targeting you.
Dead.
How do we keep our backs clean and tidy? Can you share more on Tatreez's strategy?
So my first piece of advice is be a complete sociopath like me. Okay, so it's so funny that I have created this reputation for clean back because when I started, it was like a hot mess express. And I will say, like, over the years of me stitching, I have become obsessive about like the clean and tidy back. But, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, the reason why I care is because I actually enjoy it. Like, it doesn't stress me out to figure out how to stitch with a clean back. You know what I mean? It, like, actually is very fun for me. It feels like a puzzle, if you will. And that's kind of something when I teach classes, like, I obviously teach the actual technique of, like, how to make an X, like, how to stitch. But I really talk about how I look at stitching and the strategy of it and the puzzle of it. So it brings me a lot of joy. It does not stress me out. And again, this is something I always say is like, if it like is that stressful for you, baby, don't, like, it's not that serious. You know, like, there's little things that you can do, you know, like, for example, like not traveling your thread too far, you know, like little things like that, making sure that you don't get knots in your back as you stitch. Like, and by the way, like, I don't start, like, you know, when I start stitching, like when I start my thread, I don't knot my thread, but it's not wrong to knot your thread. I have plenty of old dresses that have thread that has been started and finished by knots, and I have some that don't. It's really about what your comfort level is. I don't knot. And so, you know, when I reference the knots in the back, I'm talking about, like, you know, when your thread gets caught on each other. So, like, those are like little things that you can do. But really, like, the biggest thing, it's hard to explain it. And I have like a couple YouTube videos that I did, and I need to make more, where I like show people like how I look at motifs and patterns and like how I rationalize the next stitch and stuff. And really it is all about like looking at it and figuring out where you're going to go next. So, you know, it's a lot of that. And yeah, it's practice, it's time. Like there's little things, like I said, that we can do, but really like when you're talking big picture, it's like, it's just the practice and the time. And also like everyone has a different idea of what a clean back is.
Yeah.
Like everyone has a different idea. And when I do my classes and like I have a slide about clean backs, like I show various pictures of what clean backs are, because it varies for everyone. Again, for me, like my brain is just very is very soothed by, is that even a word, soothed? I don't think that's
I don't
a word.
think so.
It's very soothing to my brain. Sorry, y'all. It's woo. Okay, it's very soothing to my brain for the back to all be either going horizontally or vertically, and I don't do diagonals on my backs. Sorry, I hit my mic. Other people do. That's okay.
Yeah.
It just, for me, I don't like the way it looks for my stuff. For me also in the front, like most people who do Tatreez do not, like, it does not matter if the top or like the direction of the top and the bottom stitch in the front. No, that matters for me. And that's like, I cannot stitch that way. Like all my bottom stitches have to go in the same direction and all my top stitches have to go in the same direction. So that is that's kind of like my thing, but everyone has a different version of a clean back. So
so that was going to be my answer, was basically that the definition of a clean and tidy back varies from person to person. So it's literally just a matter of you figuring out what is clean and tidy to you, because I know for you, Amani, as well, the direction of the stitches need to be the same on the front.
Yes,
so like that's very different. A lot of people don't really care. I personally don't care, right? Like it doesn't matter if all of the ones that are going from left to right are underneath the stitch or if they're on the top stitch. Like it doesn't really matter for me. And for you, that's how you define clean. So I think the big question that people should ask is, how do you want to define clean and tidy? And then you find the techniques and the strategies to fulfill that. So I'll just give an example. For me, again, like I don't really care what direction they're going in on the front. I also don't care if they're going vertically or horizontally or diagonally on the back. But what I do care about is the traveling. So my rule that I use for my stitching is when you're going from one stitch to the next, you can only go one hole away, which gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 options. So wherever you are on your fabric, you have 8 different options that you can go to, and anything past that is not allowed to me. So that's basically how I approach my clean and tidy back. And yeah, I think if you guys have specific questions on like how to make a specific motif or whatever, like I know that you have a few examples on your YouTube channel, and
I'm trying to do more. It's a lot of work, y'all.
It's a lot of work. It's okay.
I'm not a content creator. I admire content creators because it's a lot of work, and that's not me.
Yeah. And then for like the loop start, for example, like Amani has some really cool videos on that. So if you want to avoid the knotting in the beginning or at the end, really, those are some good resources for you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, next question that we got quite a few times is about pattern design apps that we use. So I think we both use the same one, but I don't know if you use any other ones too.
No. So we use MaxStitch. MaxStitch is it's like it's like too comprehensive of a tool, because it's something that you download to your laptop, and it's not meant for just Tatreez or cross stitch. It's meant for like a whole variety of embroidery techniques that none of us are using really. So I think it's a little bit like over the top, but it is the best one out there. And the other thing that I'll say about MaxStitch that I like is I will typically use a lot of my motifs from Tatreez, and she has all of the different motifs in her library. She has a MaxStitch specific file of that motif. So it removes any need for me to recreate different motifs. And that is a huge, like, life-changing thing for me in terms of design. But yeah, I exclusively use MaxStitch at this point in time. I don't use anything else.
Yeah, same. I've tried, like, I know there's other, and I don't remember, I think it's like Stitchly and Floss Cross or Ipsita-ish, but there's like other apps that are like specifically for like iPads, or you could probably even do it on your phone. But I've tried them. It's not my vibe. I prefer like designing on my laptop. Maybe I'm a little old school. I do prefer designing on my laptop. I also feel like there has to be an easier way to use Mac Stitch. I just don't know it. They have a bunch of YouTube videos though, and they have like a Facebook group, and they're like super responsive. Like the developer is
I didn't
in
know
the
that.
Facebook. Yeah, they're actually really great. They're really helpful if you have questions. So and it's not that expensive. I forget what it is. It's it's a one-time 30, 40 bucks. Like, so it's not that bad. But yeah, I personally prefer using that one. I will say I do use an app I use to keep track of my patterns is called Markup. What is it? Markup RXP. And that's a great app because I can literally just upload my PDF of my pattern, and I can track my stitches. And that's how I know like all these like crazy obsessive facts of like how many stitches I have stitched, and like how many more I have to go, and how many hours I have spent stitching, and all these like crazy things. So that's an app that I highly recommend.
Yeah, we'll put those in the show notes for sure. Okay, we have 3 more questions. We're going to kind of do rapid fire. First off is, what current Tatreez projects are you working on?
Ooh, okay. So I am doing these photo embroidery things. I've talked about them for a while. I even talked about them in previous episodes of the podcast, but I kind of started with this collection of pictures from my mom's village, El Kebab. They were taken in 1927, and I found them through the National Geographic Archives. So I have printed them out, and I am doing some Tatreez directly on them, which is really fun. It's very manual. People have been asking me, how do you do it? How do you do it? I have to figure out how to do like a class, like an online class, to show you all. But it's really, really manual. But I am really loving it. I've also been using, we'll link it in the show notes of like what it's called, but I'm using, like a metallic, type of embroidery floss, or embroidery floss that has metallic, in it. So that's kind of cool and different. And then I have the project I was talking about with my friend that's coming up, which I'm really excited. I haven't seen the pictures because she was doing all the photo shoots while I was traveling. So I'm excited to see what those look like. And then, of course, my thob.
I was waiting to see if you were going to mention it. And if you didn't, I was going to smack you.
So I have been talking about it for a while. Lena has seen my thob fabric. We laid out all the pieces of the fabric when we were together in Dubai. And I am going to be starting that. I'm just finishing up like 2 more photo Tatreez projects. Because I'm not somebody who, I don't know about you, I can't work on multiple projects at once. Like that does not work for me. So I'm just finishing up those, and then I'm gonna jump into my thob, which I'm really excited about.
So I am the complete opposite. I have like 5 different projects going on at the same time, but it's fine. The one that I'm actively stitching right now is my Alhamdulillah Salama design that I did, and it's it's essentially my way of manifesting an end to the genocide and for the people of Gaza to return home. So I'll explain that design like another episode or something, but that's the one that I'm actively stitching on. But the thing that I really want to get started on as well is my second thob, because Amani's taking my thob course, and part of the thob course is like I'm taking it myself as well. And I have all the fabric cut. I already picked the fabric. It's just a matter of the design now. So once I get a confirmation, I guess by myself on the colors of the threads that I want to use, then I'm going to get that design kicked off. And I'm really excited about it because I am actually gearing up to launch my thob course for the second time towards the end of August. So if you are a listener and interested in learning how to make a thob, I got you covered by the end of the summer. Keep your eyes out. Make sure to add your email to the listserv. You can do that on my website or using like the links in my bio on Instagram, and that'll be coming your way soon as well. So I'm super excited about that, and that's kind of the next big project that I really want to do. I do have like 3 other unfinished projects, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll get to them.
See, that's why I can't, because like I won't like
Finish.
I
I know.
yeah, it's although that's probably gonna be what I'm gonna have to do with my tour, because let's be honest, like
It's a long
it's
journey.
gonna take a long time, especially knowing me and how slow I am of a stitcher. But it's fine, whatever. I'm not tripping. It'll happen the way it's supposed to happen. I gotta start designing the chest panel first. So, okay. Next question. What are your favorite motifs?
This is such an interesting question because I feel like it changes all the time. There will always be a special place in my heart for the malolo. That was the one that I used as a border for my first thobe, and it represents my curly hair. For some reason, I love that motif. It makes me so happy. Right now, I'm also really enjoying one of the butterfly motifs that I found on Tirazain as well. That one, the geometric ness of it just makes me really, really happy. But I change my mind all the time. I feel like I see other people doing different motifs. I feel like I typically go towards geometric, like when I'm looking at a motif by itself, but then I end up in the florals when I'm doing a design. But then every once in a while I'll see, especially like some of the women who are doing their thobe in my thobe cohort right now, I'm seeing their designs and I'm like, oh my God, that looks amazing. That looks so, so good. And so one of the girls, she did this beautiful chest piece, and in it, she has incorporated these 2 birds that are looking at each other. And I just thought that was such a beautiful touch. It's like a small little detail in this like very geometric chest panel. And I found that to be so, so beautiful. So those birds are something that I'm looking at as well, even though they're not something I would typically think as like a motif I would, want to use for myself.
Cute. I think, okay, I have a soft spot for a cypress tree, and there's not like one specific cypress tree. I love the fact that there are so many different variations of cypress trees in every different region. And I think, knowing the story of how the settlers came from Europe and tried to bring their own European agriculture and tried to plant their trees. And those trees did not last, but the cypress trees you find throughout all of Palestine. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I have an affinity, like, I feel like I definitely incorporate cypress trees into many, 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 many of my patterns, if not all of them. So I have a soft spot for cypress trees. And then the 2 motifs that I have been going back and forth on about actually tattooing.
Ooh, yeah.
I know. So if you're like a dope,
So you're not gonna
artist,
do a cypress tree as a tattoo.
I don't think so. I don't know. I keep going back with that one too, but it's because there's so many different variations of a cypress tree that I'm like, I don't know which one I would land on. I don't know. Who knows? I still haven't done it yet. So, but the other 2 that I really love are the Damask Rose and the Ionic Bire. I love those 2 motifs. Those 2 motifs can be found in the Ramle region, where my mom's family's from, as well as other like Ramallah and stuff. But I was always drawn to both of those motifs, and then I remember seeing in like what is it, one of the embroidery books, one of the Tatreez books. I'm blanking on which one it is, but I remember seeing, like, when I was flipping through it and seeing those motifs and seeing like Ramle, and I was like, oh, those are my people, hey.
Oh, I love that.
And so it was like, those were like 2 of the motifs that like I first like was drawn to when I started Tatreez. So they have like sentimental value, if you will.
I love that. No, those are so beautiful. Actually, you're reminding me as well that I actually also really love the almond heart, which I haven't used in a while. I need to bring that back into one of my projects, but that one also kind of stuck to me.
Yeah.
Oh, so many motifs.
I know. I do really want to do these like Tatreez tattoos. I need to find, I really want to do it with a Palestinian tattoo artist. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah, you should.
And I tried, there was somebody in New York, and I tried and like could not get on her schedule. It was like kind of a pain, and I couldn't deal with her directly. I had to deal with the shop. So you know, I get why people do it, but it just didn't work out. It was nasiib.
Yeah.
So I need to like figure out, if you're a Palestinian tattoo artist, or you know someone, I will travel. I don't care. Any excuse for a trip, I will take it. Although there is like a dope tattoo artist in Dubai that I just found. He's not Palestinian, but he's done some really dope Palestinian work. So I don't know. Now I'm just rambling, but holler at me if you know some dope Palestinian tattoo artists.
Okay, well, I think that wraps it up. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Tatreez Talk. We want to hear about your Tatreez journeys. So please share your stories with us at tatreeztalk@gmail.com, and we might have you on an upcoming episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite listening platform, and make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. You can follow me at Lina Stob and Amani at Minamani, and make sure to follow the pod at Tatreez Talk. We'll talk to you guys next time.